All right, so here's a quick explanation of how this tool works. Um, First of all, this texture, the file is really not that good of a file to begin with. So um, that's part of the issue if they're not happy with the results. But if you take this file as is, convert it to clay, and do a grayscale map, the way this works is if I put a plane on top, which I did here, and, oh, that's for the other one, but I can always activate it. Go to the front, put a plane on it, touching clay. So you put a plane and it touches the top. This is the best way to do it, right? Put a plane that touches clay. When you capture a grayscale value, it's going to search all the way down here and it's going to take the 256 levels of gray and assign those to this whole thing, right? Now look at the thickness of this part. A ton of those grayscale values are going to be completely wasted because only this top little area is actually the texture. And this is why the texture sucks. See that knot? That knot is like a mountain. You can barely tell when it's this scale. And then everything else kind of goes down the mountain in all these different directions. So what I like to do when I convert these to a texture is go ahead and you actually touched on it in your message. Exaggerate the scale in the Z height because all you're doing is graphing all that to a grayscale, and then when you apply that grayscale, you can apply any scale to it later, right? So it doesn't really matter. Just a minute, my haptic's out of calibration. There. So this is what I did here. Turn this guy on. It's a little heavy, so it's going to take my computer a second to load it because we don't have capable machines anymore. So this, I did a uneven scale. I scaled Z like 150%. Come to exaggerate the scale. That way, the grayscale from top to bottom, the 256 will be divided between here and the bottom of this, right? And this is what I'm talking about where the when you look at this terrain of this wood exaggerated, that knot is essentially a mountain. All right, my machine is not going to be able to rotate it dynamically, so I will do it this way where I'll use the arrows and then wait. So watch as I go down. That knot becomes this mountain, and then it flares up on the edge there, flares up on the edge there. Now, if what they really want is a bump map, that is a completely different thing. A bump map, what I can do is fit a surface to this that essentially tries to follow the contour up the mountain and down. And essentially what I would do is take this, exaggerate it, smooth the living heck out of the texture itself, fit a surface to it. Then I can actually create more of a bump map, which is a positive and negative from a surface, because in here I can use a surface, right? Instead of a flat plane. A flat plane is going to say, okay, at this point, it's this far away from the point, so graph it with this level of grayscale, right? So that's what a texture map is. But if you want to fit a surface plane to this and then graph what is higher and lower to it, actually it works better if you kind of like offset it a little bit below or above and then graph the deviation to that surface. That will inherently flatten out the overall terrain, but keep the texture. So that is an option as well. Like I could do that. I could do that tomorrow if that's what they're looking to do. But according to this height map, I did it exactly the way this tool works. I mean, you can adjust the max and min point, but it's going to result in the same thing as me creating the geometry that I want to capture with a grayscale map. So, I mean, bottom line, I think this isn't really that good of a texture to begin with, so we're not going to really get the best results anyway, um, unless maybe I'll screw around with this and see if I get something more along the lines of what they want. But if I go ahead and create a new file and do a fine detail cube, I went ahead and saved that texture map in here. And then here is the texture map. It looks like I don't know about you, but from far away, this looks like a stinking X-ray of somebody's butt, the way it renders. Okay, so if I grab it, it'll take it a second because it's a high resolution uh, raster image. And it does have a black border. You can crop that black border off. Oh, and the default for this tool is annoying. It has fall off automatically applied to it, so turn the fall off. So this is where you can apply the height, how high you want that to actually be. So if I apply just a 1 mm height and hit OK, it's exactly what was there before. So yeah, let me know what you think. That's my explanation of the texture map and how it works.